One's Canes podcast. Miami beats Florida State. Brian London, Brandon O'Doy. Brandon, it was ugly at times, but in the end, Miami beats their rivalry, beats their rival Florida State and is state champs. What'd you think?
1 point's a win, beats. 2 points is a blowout. Rivalry game at home. Let's give Florida State credit. Well scouted. Adam Fuller, his staff, Randy Shannon, they did an awesome job breaking down this Cam Ward and this Shannon Dawson offense, and they look as effective as anybody has looked all season in stopping it. I don't think they had the dudes to do it. That's a personnel issue. It's not a scheme. But the scheme was there tonight. They just didn't have the Jimmies and Joes. And you make fun of me for saying that, but that's a perfect example of not having enough talent. And then Miami did just enough. Miami came out running the ball against Cal and tonight. And it's beyond me why they go away from it. Mark Fletcher ran inspired. R.I.P. to his dad. He looked like you knew he was going to be special tonight. And he was. Like to see him get a little bit more burn. Martinez, 148 for 15 for 2 touchdowns. He was special. And, you know, Cam didn't do as much. 200 yards passing, not 40, not 300. But you checked the box. You went 1-0, and that's the cliche, but it works.
Before I want to talk about Cam for 1 second, but I do want to talk about Mark Fletcher. The fact that he was able to play in this game, the fact that he practiced just hours after he learned about the passing of his dad, it shows what kind of kid he is and how much this game means to him. But I think a big part of it is, Mario talked about it, is everyone in that running back room lifted him up, was there for him, and got him so that he was okay to run in this game, and it showed tonight that he was doing it with a purpose, for purpose.
The deal is this: I've known Mark Fletcher since he was 11 years old when he participated in my football hotbed middle school All-American game. I've known his dad for that same length of time. There's no place in the world his dad would have wanted him to be than on this field playing for the University of Miami. This has been their dream. This is what their relationship is about. This is why he described him as his best friend, because they did football together. You know, not to get too deep into Mark's personal business, but his mother lived away for much of his childhood. It was him and his dad here. His mom lived in northern Florida. So at the end of the day, this is what they did. So if I don't have my father, the closest person to me, how can I associate myself with him in a way? Well, I've got to be on a football field. And that's why it was no doubt in my mind that he would play tonight, because this is exactly what he knows his dad would have expected.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was a great effort by that young man. Let's talk about Cam Ward. He just addressed the media. He wasn't happy at all with the way the offense performed tonight, or his performance, despite the highlight of him catching the football and them designing that play for Arroyo to throw it to him. Listen, I've never seen Cam Ward leave a post-game press conference just exuberant about his performance. He's always going to want more and think that he's got stuff to improve on. And I think that's what makes him a great player, is that he's never satisfied.
He's self-aware, and the reality is this Hurricanes team has to be better the further it goes. Yeah, this was somewhat of a relaxing win, but it wasn't the relaxing win that people were looking for. People wanted to come in here and have these Canes blow these Seminoles out. Too much pride, rivalry game. I knew that was never going to happen. But at the end of the day, I've been getting more stories, and we'll talk more about this on the Real One's Canes podcast later this week, about his behind-the-scenes leadership. He's a no-nonsense guy. When I tell you he's got full control of this Hurricanes team, you mean it. And at the end of the day, if he's not satisfied, that's bad news for everybody in that locker room, because it's going to manifest itself somewhere in that practice facility down there on the green tree, and somebody's going to get their head handed to them on a platter. We just don't know who it is.
Let's talk about the defense. I mean, FSU is not great on offense. And the defense, did pretty well tonight, especially that front. A couple of mistakes that we saw, but, all in all, had a pretty good performance for the Miami defense.
Pretty good game, but you had to. This is probably one of the worst, offenses in Power 5 football, Power 4 football. But at the end of the day, I thought Florida State had a good game plan, especially with the freshmen. I watched him last week. He's going to be a dude here. Remember I said it.
For sure.
He's just young. He's really athletic. He's a really strong guy. But he probably got beat up tonight. And that's, mortgage the future, because that offensive line cannot protect him, and he doesn't know how to protect himself on slides and runs. But he is a really bright spot for Mike Norvell in this offense. to kind of build on for the future, but he just didn't have enough supporting cast tonight. They had no running game. Their best play was to their H-back / fullback, young man out of Palm Beach County who's a reclassified kid, should be in high school still.
Right.
So at the end of the day, a lot to work on for the Noles, but hey, listen, Canes fans have to be realistic. We've been in situations like this where they played just as good, if not better than this, and lost.
Yeah, for sure.
So at the end of the day, a win is a win. 1 point's a win, 2 points is a blowout. That's college football. There's a lot of people with 1 and 2 losses that would love to be in Miami's position. So take 8-0 and take it and eat it and enjoy it.
Last question. A bunch of recruits here tonight, a ton of recruits, just a whole parade of recruits here tonight. Did this game make any difference? How important was this game for recruiting?
I think that's the biggest win tonight. Not even on the field, it's off the field. It's in the perception. Florida State had Miami recruits going to Florida State for this game last year, was hosting them. They were drinking the Kool-Aid. Listen, let me tell you something. Recruits are different from fans. They're what have you done for me lately? Look at Alabama. It's already a different place post-Saban.
Right.
People are, completely moving on, and these recruits are very in a box. Instagram, TikTok generation. We got one such young man behind the camera tonight.
Right.
They want to know what happened today, not what happened 10 minutes ago. They want to happen. This team is a now team. It's Cam Ward. It's the culture. It's winning. It's the swag. It's all the history that they're now learning about, and they're going to take full advantage of this. They're going to try to flip the young man Ben Hanks from Florida. They're going to try to flip Vernell Brown. They're going to try to get the big fish from over in the Tampa area, the defensive back Pickett, who has a relative on the team.
For sure.
That's what tonight's about. Tonight's about recruiting. Tonight's about Mario Cristobal, the ace recruiter, the best recruiter in college football, putting his stamp down. And when he walked into the interview room, he gave me that look. It wasn't about smiles. He gave me that grimace. And listen, if coach is grimacing, somebody's in trouble. Because he's in killer mode, and you saw it tonight. 8-0. And listen, I ain't saying this as a fan. I'm saying this as a fan of college football. Mario Cristobal and Cam Ward, those are dudes. You do not want to be messed up with those guys. You do not want those guys looking for you. They have a different mentality. I've not seen anything like this. This is not the 10-0, lose to Pittsburgh on the road. This is different. Now, next week, there is a trap game, and it's going to be something to think about. But for right now, you go 1-0, you did it. RIP Mark Fletcher. Great game, Mr. Damien Martinez. And we move on to the next week.
For Brendan O'Doy, I'm Brian London. Make sure you follow us, Real Ones Canes Podcast. We'll have the episode coming up this week. Thanks to Mattia behind the camera. We'll see you next time. Peace.